This is the beast of nature, the freak, Rob Terry.
Hi, I'm OVW official Josh Ashcraft.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're looking at Triple Threat Talk. I'm Dean Hill.
This is Ricky Chevy, and I'm the blue-collar millionaire.
I'm Mr. Peck. God, that's great every time. Spectacular.
We're the Broner Brothers.
I am the One Girl Revolution, Taylor Hendricks.
This is Brandon Espinoza.
I'm the Assassin.
I'm Bruno Raul Limana.
I'm James Moose Thomas.
I'm Shiloh Jones. My name is Ron Head. I'm the announcer for OVW.
I'm Jamin Olivencia.
I'm Alex Silva. I'm Rocco Bellagio.
I'm Kerry Bodie, the Ohio Valley Wrestling fan advocate.
Raphael Constantine.
I'm Rand Perez. My name's Muhammad Ali. Baez.
I'm Paradise.
This is Jack Black.
This is Ohio Valley Wrestling. Referee Chris Sharp.
This is Sexy Sean Casey. I'm Chris Silvio.
This is Michael Hayes. This is Jason Wayne.
And you're watching Triple Threat Talk.
To the golden anniversary of Triple Threat Talk, episode 75. I am Gary the Dr. Walker, joined as always by my esteemed colleagues and friends, Big B, Brandon Namiro, and Postmaster Jones, Mr. Jimmy Biggers. How you guys doing today?
Doing great. How you doing?
I'm all right.
I've been better.
You have been better. You have felt better.
Yeah, you do look a little sick today.
I think I got the Call of Duty flu.
That's
you
bad.
keep away. You stay away from it.
Yeah, I stay away from myself too.
Well, we're going to start it off
on today's show. We got some headlines in the making. We got number one goes down in college football. Some big time early season college basketball matchups to talk about.
The end of the tennis season.
The end of the tennis season. The ATP World Tennis Finals. The return of GSP. And a little NASCAR fiasco. And we actually have a special guest. Mr. Dustin Long, Motorsports Contributor for SI.com, USA Today, Athlon Sports, and Speed Sport Magazine, will be dropping by to join us. So NASCAR fans, stay tuned for that. That's going to be definitely a must-hear interview.
Before we get started with viewer questions, I am astonished this is episode 75.
We've really hung in there. We're picking up steam.
It's an astonishment in itself.
We're picking up steam.
Episode 50, we're all mad at each other and running around.
It's like, we're not filming anymore.
Yeah.
It seems like we just filmed it.
It does.
Yeah.
It really does. It's crazy.
25 episodes ago.
That's insane.
Anyway, so.
All right, so as we do every week, we'll start off with viewer questions. And our first question comes from our good pal Buckin5.
Good pal.
And he would like to know, what did we think of the new James Bond movie Skyfall?
I have not seen it, so he will not spoil it, but he will address the question.
I have not seen it either. However, he has, so we will let him fire away.
Okay, so this is the 23rd installment of the James Bond franchise. From what I know is that this is the first one that is not in the Ian Fleming book. I think Daniel Craig is doing an excellent job as James Bond, considering his movies have grossed the most money. Especially this one has grossed the most money all the time. It was phenomenal. I like movies that are over 2.5 hours, like Batman and Avengers, where it doesn't feel like it's that long. You're just sitting and experiencing a film, which this one is. I said to him before. I said, if you don't know the villain in the movie, Javier Bardem, he was in that movie, No Country for Old Men, which he won an Oscar for because his performance was flawless. And I think this one deserves the same recognition. He was very good in the Bond as the Bond villain. People are saying he could be the best Bond villain of all time. I would not dispute that. It's definitely one of my favorite Bond flicks of all time. I think Daniel Craig is doing a bang-up job as 007. I hope to see another one out of these guys. I know this wasn't going to happen time ago. I was thoroughly entertained with that movie. That movie was one of the best movies I've seen all year. It was fantastic.
All right. Good stuff there. Thank you, Big B, for that insightful movie
news.
Movie review.
What are we eat?
Could be. For the DJ Becca Show. Who is the next breakout star in NASCAR?
We're gonna have someone else answer that question.
I don't think I could really give an answer to that.
Yeah, I don't think I could either. But we're gonna ask our special guest that later.
I could give my opinion, but we'll let our special guest give his 2 cents. So DJ Becker's show, stay tuned.
DJ Becker's show. You have a person from Sports Illustrated answering your NASCAR question, so stick around.
And we will ask it. We promise.
Yes. All right. Also from the DJ Becker show. What are your thoughts on Kevin Harvick going to Stewart Haas Racing in 2014?
And as our
esteemed
NASCAR guru, you can answer that.
Yeah. Well, I will answer it by saying I think it's a great move for Kevin Harvick. It's well known and documented that Kevin and Tony Stewart are very good pals. They're good friends on and off the track. You can tell he's kind of unhappy with Childress, even though he did win this past week in Phoenix. Ooh, spoil a little NASCAR coverage there. He did pick up the victory, but is it a good move? Yes. We'll see. None of the details have been released because technically it wasn't supposed to be leaked yet anyway, but we'll see how it goes. I think it may affect, thank you for that. I think it may affect his performance next year, but that is a wait-and-see proposition. Right. And finally from the DJ Becker Show, have you guys ever thought about doing live shows?
Every day.
What do they always say in trailers? Coming soon.
Dun, dun, dun.
Coming soon. It's your chance to talk to Triple Threat Talk.
Live.
Live from Big B's dining room. It's Saturday night.
From the son of Sis. A long time ago.
How long ago was it?
I don't know.
A galaxy far, far away.
He asked us a question.
I'm sure he did.
Who would have the most success in the WWE? Ryback, Antonio Cesaro, or Brodus Clay? You each answered Cesaro or Brodus Clay. Now that some time has passed, do you stand by your answers or has time changed your mind?
I still agree with the Cesaro one. Brodus Clay's been a bust, period. That gimmick is old. I know Vince doesn't like it, and I'm getting tired of it. Cesaro is definitely going to happen. Ryback, yes, he is going to be the biggest name in the WWE in quite some time. I know Triple H is high on him. I know Stephanie's high on him, and I know Vince is high on him. I still like Cesaro, being big right now. He's going to be bigger than Ryback right now because Ryback, even though he's in the WWE title picture, he's not winning the title anytime soon, from what I understand.
He's going to win Sunday.
No. I like Ryback, but it's, again, I've said on the show countless times, Sheamus is my favorite wrestler, but I still disagree with the way he was pushed, and when he won the title the first time, it was way too soon for him. I'd rather see Sheamus be a nice, the perfect person there pushing, as of right now, is kind of off, is Cody Rhodes. He got his little push with the group with Legacy, and he went on his little own, he won the Intercontinental title, and he's been pushed correctly. Same with Dolph Ziggler. With these newer guys like Ryback and Sheamus, they were pushed very quickly, and they're right into the main event set, which I don't like seeing like that. So, whether I like it or not, Ryback's going to be a big star in the company, but Cesaro right now for me, but long term is Ryback.
I'm gonna kind of disagree. I think Ryback is going to be the next big person. I think when we get into Survivor Series pick'ems later, I think that the best business move for them to go on is for Ryback to get the title next.
I think as you know, they'll make the best business move right now.
He destroys Brad Maddox. I think with this whole thing, I think this whole thing is building towards CM Punk coming just short of having the title a year, and Sunday will be episode 306 or episode day 364 that he's had it. And I think that is going to come into play in their decision. I think they're going to have him just fall short of a year. And I think that person will be Ryback that takes it from him. And I think Ryback isn't the future.
I think Ryback could be the future. I don't think Brodus Clay is. Antonio Cesaro could possibly be the future as well. It's still too early to tell. He's still in the mid-card title sort of things. But, they do like to progressively build their people up. But we've seen certain people and certain wrestlers get mid-card titles and they haven't went anywhere. So it's hard to say from this point. So for the Jeffrey Caster, because Linda McMahon lost her campaign, do you guys think TV14 will return to WWE?
I don't. I still think WWE is more catered towards the kid audience. I think that's what they've been about for a long time. I think it's been about them since even before Linda McMahon ran for Congress. I do see the product getting a lot better because they did certain things and they strayed away from certain things because they feel it would affect Linda's campaign in a negative way. Well, she lost by a lot anyway, so what's the difference? I don't see a TV14 rating returning, but I see the product possibly getting better. And it's kind of an interesting time as it might get better because WrestleMania is right around the corner. And that's usually when WWE's product steps up. So I don't see TV14 because that would have to be nasty blood again, and they probably have to use a lot of curse words and nudity, and they're not about that because they're still trying to make it more of a family product.
Right.
But the show's product will improve now, I think.
The only nudity they ever had on there made everybody throw up with the incident with Mae Young.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome. I don't think her political aspirations is why they switched to this TV14 era. I know that was the word, but I think they were just using it as an excuse to kind of tone things back and try something new. She is going to run again in 2 years for Connecticut. I think that she will be successful, especially if she calls me. My offer is still out there. I'm 100% serious, but they use me, they will get elected.
Putting yourself on a pedestal.
I'm not putting myself on a pedestal, it's a promise.
Kind of like Sylvina in Vegas last night. Right?
Yeah,
if you get me, you'll win. Right?
That's right.
But I think that the TV14 era will be around for a short while longer, and then they'll move back to the Attitude Era.
Or PG.
I agree. I don't think they will venture into the TV14 era. They've done too much work to get away from that to just suddenly put the brakes on.
And they have a good partnership with Make-A-Wish and
yeah.
And
I mean, they're what they're doing is good, and I don't see them venturing back. So. From Against All Odds 20, a question geared towards Big B. He is our video game guru.
Is that a good title? I can't tell.
No. What is your guys' take on this whole Bethesda Skyrim DLC mess?
Now, I play video games, but I do not play Skyrim. Erica does, though.
Okay. The only mess as of Skyrim's concerns is PS3-wise. Xbox is getting every single DLC that's coming out. It's working fine on Xbox. It's passing every test that a DLC game needs to pass. PS3's having a lot of issues. They haven't got any DLCs yet. There's a plan they might get them or not. And they've talked about a version of Skyrim that'll be like $80. Will have all the DLCs on. I think that's what's going to happen if you're a PS3 owner. Because, like I said, they're already behind 4 or 5 DLCs as it is. Xbox is right on point, so is the PC. So I think as far as PS3 goes, you're not getting any individual DLCs anytime soon. You're probably going to have to wait until they release that Ultimate Edition of Skyrim, whatever they call it, for all the DLCs and package in one because PS3 is just not passing the test it needs to.
Right. All right. Also from Against All Odds 20, and to wrap up user questions, what do you guys think would be a better and more interesting match? Freddy Krueger versus the Joker or Freddy Krueger versus the Scarecrow? Big B, thoughts?
Is it Halloween again? Only reason I'm not even going to go in depth. Why? Just because, he picked both Freddy Krueger and both of them, so obviously he has a thing for Freddy Krueger. I'd say Freddy Krueger versus the Joker only because I like the Joker better. That's it.
I'd say Freddy Krueger versus Scarecrow because it would be the Master of Fear, I think. The true winner would be the Master of Fears.
I kind of agree with Big B. I think I would go with Freddy Krueger versus the Joker, but I'm kind of like him as well. I guess we delved back in Halloween.
Yeah.
But
with our pumpkin buckets and candy, like Clock, Rock, and Brock.
Exactly. So that wraps up user questions this week. We appreciate all the questions, comments.
Comments.
Quandaries.
You're tapping the Kwame Brown over there, aren't you?
Exactly. Comments and queries as always. So with that, I will anoint this week's user of the week. And I'm going to anoint Mr. DJ Becker's show because he got his question answered by our NASCAR analyst that's going to join us a little bit.
And second, we'll answer 3 of his questions.
Yeah, exactly. So DJ Becker's show, you are the Triple Threat Talk episode 75 Viewer of the Week. And with that wraps up questions and that. So when we come back from this break, we will delve into headlines right after this.
The Fresh Maker.
And welcome back to Triple Threat Talk. This is Gary the Dr. Lockard, next to Big V Brandon Namiro and Postmaster Jones Jimmy Biggers. We are back and we were about ready to delve into well, actually, what am I doing? Hit the music.
That's it.
Whoa.
That is my thing.
Next thing you know, he's gonna say fold like an Italian beach chair.
I apologize.
Yeah.
So with that, Big B, if you would kindly please, I know you're a little under the weather, but
This makes me sick.
if you would please, hit the music.
Doctor, give me the news. I got the bad case of the headline blues.
Oh yeah. Can you feel that?
Oh, only if it's contagious as that.
Oh yeah, it's spreading throughout the nation, alright.
Teach me
Yeah.
how to Gary. Teach me how to Gary.
No, don't teach me that at all.
I'm just jealous that you don't have a dance craze
I thought I learned how to done you.
progressing, going through the nation.
No, I don't.
So we had some interesting things happen this weekend in the world of football. One thing I wanted to talk about here. I'm going to start off with perhaps the biggest headline first. The beating of Texas A&M, or the beating of Alabama at the hands of Texas A&M. Buckin 5 said, "Thanks for cursing us."
We're probably mad and curse according to him.
Their chances of winning the championship are diminished. It is, however, not implausible that,
nothing's implausible in college
that they
football.
win, that they do get a bid. And I'll tell you why.
I could be for that, by the way.
Thank you. And then
He used a big word. I like when he uses big words.
Use a big word. So here's who K-State and Oregon, obviously the two bigger threats in front of Alabama, have for their next two games, their last two games. Kansas State has both Baylor and Texas. Easily losable games. Easily for K-State. Oregon has really the only team that could really beat Oregon they play this week is Stanford. Oregon State might throw them up a little bit of a challenge, especially with their defense.
That is a rivalry.
It is a rivalry, and it is at Oregon State. I like what they have going on in their secondary. So really, each of these schools has a game that they could potentially lose.
Beavers,
now,
Ducks.
one thing that Alabama has going for them, and it's not a lot right now, as they are number 4. One thing Alabama has going for them is that SEC championship game.
Right.
So that is that third game that does count, East versus West, and it counts for postseason aspirations. If it will more than likely be Georgia. Actually, I think it is already.
Georgia already won the SEC East.
Georgia is the SEC East. So I think it's now between LSU and Alabama as to who gets the West.
Alabama already beat LSU.
I see that definitely being Alabama. In the event that Alabama wins their next 3 and K-State or Oregon loses one of their next 2 games, that's all it's going to take for Alabama to get right back up in there and back in contention. I think it will happen. And I think when it does happen, Alabama, you're going to see Alabama full steam ahead at that national championship game. Thoughts, guys?
Okay, so Alabama had their toughest test of the season against LSU. It was supposed to be where, as Osman said, it's where people's dreams come to die. Well, they won the game. That's it. We said on the show, that's it. There's no more test in front of them. And they play at home against Texas A&M. And what happens? They blow it. Okay? They have a chance at the end of the game. A.J. McCarron looks off. He just snaps the ball and just throws it immediately. Didn't even look off. The defender picks it off. Then Texas A&M, they stop them on defense. Alabama's defense is very good. They have a chance again. 4th and 2. They're going to punt the ball. And Alabama's going to chip. Defensive false start on the defense. Game over. So that shows to me lack of discipline on Alabama's front. First of all, they had 2 chances to win the game. McCarron throws a stupid interception. And then the defense is they don't know where they're at. They don't know what they're doing.
You know what it shows to me?
What?
Shows to me that they folded like an Italian beach chair.
Thank you. I think you won a quarter every time you say that. But the thing about Alabama is they had their chances. And they blew it. So this is why I think the championship hopes are over. I don't think K-State's losing another game. I think Colin Klein's playing fantastic football. And Oregon's offense is as explosive as anybody in the country. And you forget about Notre Dame, who's number 3 in the country, and they're undefeated. So, you know what? I'm the kind of guy that thinks in college football is if you lose one game, unless everyone else has one loss, you don't deserve to be in the national championship. If you have no losses, you deserve to be in the national championship game. So I don't think Kansas State's going to lose a game. I mean, you brought some good points. They could lose those games because those teams are very good. And same for Oregon. I don't see Notre Dame losing another game, even though they almost
I
lost.
definitely don't see Notre Dame.
Even though they almost lost to Pittsburgh.
I don't see Notre Dame.
But I think Alabama had their shot, and they technically, metaphorically speaking, they threw it away.
What about you? Thoughts?
I agree with Big B. I mean, I know SEC is supposed to be the NFL of NCAA when it comes to like football. It's the biggest conference, obviously. There's no denying that. It's the best conference. It's the best conference for football. It has the you just look up and down the board. You got Texas A&M, Alabama, Georgia, LSU. I mean, just Florida, Mississippi State, South Carolina. I mean, that's just right off the top of your head. Boom, right there. But he does bring up an interesting point in the fact that Notre Dame hasn't lost a game. I don't foresee them losing a game. Now, granted, the only thing I disagree with Notre Dame, and I always have, is I don't think Notre Dame should be allowed to play in the national championship game for the simple reason of Notre Dame does not play in a conference.
Yeah.
I do not like the fact that they're an independent and that they have a chance to play for the national title all because they're Notre Dame and because of what they did in the past. I totally disagree. I think they should be forced to either A, join a conference to play.
Aren't they joining a conference next year?
Technically, but not really. They're required. I think to play 4 or 6 games of the ACC, which they already played like 2 this year. So they're really only dropping.
Yeah.
I think they said they're dropping like Navy and one other school.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't like Notre Dame being in the title picture. I really don't.
And that's one thing I'm going to respectfully disagree. I think Notre Dame keeping their independence and scheduling such tough games, because when you have a conference like the SEC, for example, now you don't have an easy route by any means, but when you have, let's take the toughest team, let's take the toughest conference, and let's look at your bottom feeders. You have Kentucky, you have Vanderbilt, and you have Tennessee,
right?
And this year Auburn. Those are your bottom feeders this year in the SEC tournament.
Can for sure.
In the SEC. Now, you have 4 games right there that can be ranked. Even though they're SEC boys, even though they're SEC schools, those games can muddle your schedule very easily.
Right.
If you're on a bad flip of the coin and you play those 4 teams at any given point in time, that can definitely stymie your strength of schedule. I think the ability to schedule quality games every week is one of those things that makes Notre Dame stand out. And especially when you have an NBC contract, the whole nation watches them, so they have public awareness.
Right.
And that is a very good thing, because now when you're talking about public contracts, you have NBC, you have the Yankees, and you have the Kentucky Wildcats basketball. All are now in the public spotlight, and each thing has its own advantages for each school, and it's nothing. It's what happens when you build a legacy. You get a little bit more notoriety.
Right, I agree with you there, but would you agree with me that up until like last year and this year, Notre Dame has kind of been off the radar for years?
Absolutely. And they were this close to having their contract canceled with NBC. They decided to give them a couple more years.
Right.
And it's a good thing they did.
Right. I mean, that's why. Like you said, yeah, they're going to be in the ACC technically, but they're not really full-time ACC.
Well, I think you're going to get your wish, because like I said, I don't see Kansas State or Oregon losing a game.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be Kansas State and Oregon right now, unless they lose a game. Then Notre Dame, like you said, is probably going to be.
And I think Kansas State and Oregon will be a fantastic game because the offense are both explosive, so it'll be a really exciting game.
Yeah, absolutely. So, absolutely. U of L, to keep on the trend of NCAA football, they folded like an Italian beach chair, by no means. But you know what? I saw it coming. I said on Friday, and I said it to several people last week, I said I would not be surprised if Syracuse won that game.
Who would have thought 2 top 10 teams would lose in the same day?
Well, the reason why I said this was, and I thought were good legitimate points. A, Syracuse has played a way tougher schedule than U of L. A. B, Syracuse and Ryan Nassib have never lost a senior day at home. They were at home. It was senior day. C, up to that point, everybody in the Big East, Louisville was their Super Bowl. When they played Louisville, because they were the number 1 team in the conference, everybody aimed high to beat them. They wanted to knock them off the pedestal. Just like with any team, just like Alabama. That was Texas A&M's Super Bowl. They wanted to go to Tuscaloosa and knock them off, and that's what they did.
Right.
So I was not surprised that Louisville lost.
I was not surprised. I posted on Facebook under on my personal page that I didn't see. I saw it coming sooner. I thought it was going to happen a little bit sooner rather than later. I do feel bad for the fact that they lost their star running back in Sonoris Perry tearing his ACL.
He's out the year.
That's definitely going to hurt them for any potential shot at the Big East Championship that they had. And I definitely think that is not just a huge loss, but a crippling loss.
Right, absolutely.
But Sonoris Perry was part. He was right there with Teddy Bridgewater. He was why they were having so much success. And now with one half of that equation left with Teddy Bridgewater, you have to wonder, is he going to step up the passing game? Are they going to find maybe a couple more answers in the running game in the backfield to keep that ship afloat and get back on stage?
I'll say this. The Cards are 9-1. And if you take away Teddy Bridgewater, then they have a losing record.
Yes, absolutely.
And they're going to lose one more game.
That's one thing I've never taken away from the fact.
Teddy Bridgewater has carried this team.
They're going to lose to Rutgers.
He has carried this team.
I think I agree with you.
They're going to beat UConn. They're going to lose.
They'll beat UConn at home.
They're going to lose Rutgers
because it's senior day at home, and
Rutgers is going to win.
They're coming off a bye week, so they're going to be trying to play UConn. Yeah. But I think you're right. I think they will lose to Rutgers. So,
in other sports news, the State Farm Champions Classic happened last night, and we had two amazing basketball games. Both did not disappoint. Michigan State, number 21, takes on number 8, Kansas. Michigan State edges out the upset. Well, I wouldn't call it an upset because it's top 25, but they are calling it an upset. 67-64. And then the boys in blue versus the boys in blue. UK, number 3, and 7th ranked Duke going at it, winning 75-68. Duke Blue Devils get the victory right there. And it all boils down to the experience of Duke versus the second full game that a team without Darius Miller or without a Patrick Patterson plays together. Such a young team. But I'll tell you what, there were Duke fans everywhere going off last night how an amazing win this was. I have to disagree. This was a win, yes. And I'm not trying to play the homer here. I'm trying to simply, and I think you agreed with me when I brought this point up earlier. Why are you happy that a team with such experience could not put away a team with such youth? You had a 14-point lead, and you lost the lead, and you played them down. UK closed the gap within 3 points, and the difference in the 75-68 came largely from Kentucky trying to foul to make up for that extra 3 points. So in the long run, what you did was you lost a 14-point lead and were 1 3-point shot away from going into overtime against a team that, had they taken it overtime without Mason Plumlee and Seth Curry, would have blown by you. So why are Duke fans happy?
I'll say this: I was totally, not impressed with Duke's win over Kentucky last night. For
sure.
The reason why is because, like you said, it's a team full of seniors. I mean, they have 4 seniors in the starting lineup going against all freshmen and Kyle Wilcher.
Yeah,
That's it. It's all freshmen and Kyle Wilcher. That's the team. And to have a 14-point lead, the Duke that I know, the old Duke, or the Duke that most people would know with Coach K at the helm, they would have put their foot on Kentucky's throat and won by 30 or 20 or 30 at least. But they didn't. It's like, I don't know if they thought, well, this is a team of rookies, we're up by 14, they're just going to give up, they're just going to quit. No, this is where I think people are going to have trouble with Kentucky this year, is everybody's saying, oh, well, it's not the team like last year, which obviously it's not. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying the team were close to the caliber of last year's team. But I think that's what's going to cost some people that play UK. They're going to say, well, this group of freshmen is not quite as good as the group of freshmen from last season, so we can take these guys a little lighter. And I disagree. I think
had them on the top of the head.
Yeah,
you guys go on.
Yeah, it's okay. We know. So, but I wasn't impressed at all. And next week in the Atlantis Classic in the Bahamas, the potential final between Louisville and Duke is a possibility. And I would love to see, after the way Duke and Kentucky played last night, I would love to see U of L and Duke play next week. To see that game. So that'd be great. So we will continue with headlines and move on through the Triple Threat Talk right after this.
Oh, babe, check this out. Hey, come on. You want a little chippy? You want a Dorito? Are you hungry? I want to get a Dorito.
Babe, don't hurt my dog.
Come on, get a tip. Come on, get a tip. Get a tip. Come on. Here we go. Here we go.
And we're back on Triple Threat Talk. Big B alongside Gary, the Dr. Lockhart, and Postmaster Joe and Jimmy Biggers down there, still going through our headlines this week.
Yep. One quick thing I wanted to post before we moved on, I wanted to say about the UK team, the UK schedule. I think you're right. You brought up a good point. Several people are going to underestimate these guys. But with what we saw last night, keep in mind, like I said, this team lacks senior leadership. Like I said before, come a couple months from now, this is going to be a dangerous team. This is going to be a dangerous team.
I agree with you.
And I'm not saying by any means I think they're going to win the national championship.
No,
but in the Elite 8 or Sweet 16,
there's
is not out.
plenty of room for improvement.
Oh, for sure.
Because with Duke, it's 4 seniors. You're not going to get a lot of improvement. Them guys have been there for 4 years. What are they going to improve? They're playing. They're at their full potential, or at least they should be. So,
especially under Coach K.
Absolutely.
So moving on, MLB trades. Jose Reyes and Josh Johnson from Miami to Toronto, among other players. The Marlins will receive Yuno Escobar, Henderson Alvarez, Jeff Mathis, and 4 minor leaguers. But the question I have to pose is, does it matter? Because as of right now, there's a complete fire sale, as you put it earlier, going on in Miami. So what is the deal here?
All right, first of all, this trade is like they're handing Toronto all these really good players. Reyes is a great shortstop. Josh Johnson is still a good pitcher. And it's like Toronto's like, wait a minute, really getting this trade from you guys? Did you just sign these guys to rebrand your franchise? So now Toronto, I think, has a shot in the alley. It's not to win, but they're going to contend with the Yankees and the Orioles, I think. The Marlins, I don't know what they're doing. They completely just throw everyone out of their franchise after they're building a new stadium. And it shocks to me that I heard that the new stadium has like 8,000 people, which is laughable for a new stadium, and baseball, that's just pathetic. I don't know what the Marlins are doing. I don't get it. They signed, arguably one of the greatest shortstops in all of baseball, and they just like say, here, go to Toronto. We don't want you. We're going to win without you. And they haven't been great. They've won. I think they won 69 games last year, which is horrible. The Marlins are one of the worst teams in baseball, I think, for the last couple of years. They just don't know what to do. Then they have Ozzie Guillen last year as their manager. He's gone. So, I mean, I don't know what to do with the Marlins. I don't know where you put them. I don't know where they think they're going with this trade. Usually when you make a trade, you try to improve your team. This is not improving the team. So I don't know what they're doing.
I agree. I don't know what's going on in Miami. I think what you're looking at is the future home of the Miami Dolphins, though.
I think to quote an earlier tout by Chris Jericho earlier in the year, fire! Because that's what's going on there, an absolute fire sale. But in other Major League Baseball news, a little happy note for Mr. Big B down there.
Well-deserved.
Mets pitcher R.A. Dickey, your 2012 National League Cy Young Award winner.
And keeping on par with Big B, he's got some ATP tennis tour finals for us.
All right, so get out the tissues. Tennis season's over. Let's all cry about it.
Let's not.
Okay, that's what I come. Anyway, so the Barclays ATP World Tour Finals in London, England, which I'm happy to announce that it's going to be the O2 Arena for the next 3 years. That arena is fantastic, and they do a great job over there. So the finals were Federer and Djokovic. I predicted Federer would get there against Murray, but I didn't see how the sets played out, whatever. So Federer is there, and he's playing very well. Federer's playing phenomenal. He's playing like I know he can, like I know the man that won six of these things, won 17 Grand Slams, yada, yada, yada. And, Federer should have won this match, but, Djokovic is number one for a reason. And Djokovic fought back in that match. Federer had his chances, but Djokovic just played a lot better in that first set. In the first set, got to a tiebreak, 7-6. Djokovic was able to pull that out. And then Djokovic won in the second set, 7-5, with a spectacular backhand down the line that Djokovic always seems to hit flawlessly, and that's what won the match. So Djokovic wins his another year in championship. He's number one. He's got the top number one. His points lead is extended. As of right now, the rankings are as thus. Djokovic is 1, Federer is 2, Murray is 3, Nadal is 4, and Ferrer is 5. And actually, Ferrer is pretty close to Nadal. And Nadal made the Australian Open finals last year. So if he doesn't make the finals last year, Ferrer could jump him and Ferrer could be 4, and Nadal could be sitting at 5, which would be really weird to see Nadal at 5th. So congratulations to Djokovic for that. My player of the year, I can't argue with Djokovic. I think Djokovic is player of the year. Won the Australian Open. He's number 1 in the world. Won another year-end championship. And I think with the number 1, I think with the person you pick for player of the year, I think has to be the person that's most consistent, and that's definitely Djokovic. If Federer had won this thing, I would say Federer because he was number 1. He won another Wimbledon, and he won this again for the 3rd straight year. And if Murray won, I would pick Murray. But Murray didn't win it, and Djokovic won it, and I think Djokovic was the most consistent player all year. That's why he's my player of the year.
And we can keep it on you for UFC 154 and the return of GSP.
Finally, after a long injury to George St. Pierre, or GSP, as people call him, he's back in the octagon. He's fighting this Saturday night, UFC 154. You can watch it on pay-per-view, or if you want to, check your local theater. Some movie theaters are broadcasting it via the movie theater, which is probably a kind of cool idea. They do that every now and then. So
you gonna check that out?
I might. I don't know. I might watch it. I might watch it a beat up. Or I might go to the movie theater. So GSP fighting Carlos Condit, who's no slouch. You get that right now. Carlos Condit is no slouch. He is the champion, and GSP. So you're gonna see who the undisputed champion of that weight class is. I know how good GSP is. He's pound for pound. Arguably, he's one of the best fighters. He's one of the best fighters, but arguably one of the best of all time. But he's not the best of all time. But he's very good. This is going to be a tough fight. I think people are thinking just because he's GSP that he's going to go in there and beat Carlos Condit. I don't think that. His last couple of fights hasn't been knockouts; they've been decisions. This is going to be tough. I think. Personally, I'd like to see GSP lose, to be honest with you. I'd like to see him lose because maybe he would realize, okay, I've been out of the game for a long time. This guy's really good. He's a very good fighter. I need to really refocus myself and get back into the mindset I was before I got injured. That way, maybe he gets hungry again. He's like, I want this. I need this. And then fight him in the rematch and he'll probably beat up Carlos Condit so bad. So, honestly, I'm thinking Carlos Condit wins this fight. I think you're going to see a little ring rust or octagon rust, whatever you want to call it, on GSP. I think Carlos Condit wins this fight.
Is that an upset?
I guess, even though GSP has been out for a while, I guess you could kind of call it an upset. I think Carlos Condit wins this match. I'm not going to say knockout because I think GSP is good enough to not get knocked out, but I think Carlos Condit to be good enough to win the fight via decision. But I do say in the rematch these two are going to have, because Dana White said they're going to have a rematch probably, I think GSP wins. Although, on the flip side, if GSP were to win this fight, he's already said that there would be the dream fight between him and Anderson Silva, which I'd love to see because I think GSP would beat up Anderson Silva really good. So I'm thinking Carlos Condit wins this fight, but I think GSP is going to refocus and be better, and I think he's going to win the rematch for the title. So.
All right, good stuff from Big B about UFC, tennis.
We got some NHRA news. We hadn't really been following up with it, but last night, or the other night, there was the finals at Pomona, California. Their championship series. When it comes down to the whole kit and caboodle, there was an interesting situation that happened in qualifying. Fast Jack Beckman's car blew up.
Yes, I saw that. As a matter of fact, Big B, if you would please,
let's see if we can roll the footage.
Could you roll the footage? Wow, that looked nasty.
He walked away. Not only did he walk away, he also qualified, and there was a 22-point difference between himself and Ron Capps. Why did I say Sapp? Ron Capps. And I know that too. That's weird. Ron Capps, as they went on through the night, they each won race after race after race, and it finally came down to where Ron Capps had come within 2 points and had to go mano a mano with the lovely Miss Courtney Force, and in a race that was literally thousandths of a second decided, Courtney Force edged out Ron Capps and automatically, by then, gave the win to one Mr. Fast Jack Beckman. And he went from being a blown-up car to winning the entire thing for Funny Car that night, which was amazing. And then Tony Schumacher won Top Fuel for like the 100th year in a row. Yeah. No surprise.
And not to be discounted, because you forgot to mention, for the first time in history of NHRA, Antron Brown was the first African American to win a championship in NHRA, which is great stuff.
It's good stuff, because Antron Brown is an amazing athlete. And we go from that to what I think may be the biggest news of the week besides Alabama going down, and the Lakers signing as their new head coach, Phil Jackson. Wait a minute. That's not right.
They didn't sign.
Just picture this.
They didn't sign the Zen Master.
Just picture this. You sit down, you have the opportunity to sign Phil Jackson. You talk with Phil Jackson. He says
he's ready to go.
He's ready to go.
Let's do this.
He's going to give him a decision.
We'll sign a contract.
Give him a decision.
Teen crumpets.
Give him a decision Monday. He's going to let him know. Okay. So Phil Jackson, sleeping in his bed.
Sleeping in his bed one morning.
Then he hears
midnight phone ring. Ring. Oh. Hey Phil, this is Mitch Kupchak with the Lakers. Yes, I told you I'd let you know tomorrow. Well, too bad. We decided to sign Mike D'Antoni.
Really?
What?
Whoa!
And the reason
my throat might be sore, but
my throat is sore. I'm fighting a sore throat, and I'm still able to do that.
Wait. They picked Mike D'Antoni, who doesn't know defense at all. He's an offensive-minded coach. That's it. Defense, he's like, whatever. Over Phil Jackson, the Zen Master, 11 times NBA champion as a coach.
They said that Mike D'Antoni was the best coach for this roster.
Baloney.
Which is crap.
Baloney.
Because Phil Jackson runs the triangle offense, which means things are run with two big men. Let's see. Dwight Howard and Pau Gasol. Done.
Yeah, Kobe Bryant called Mike D'Antoni offensive genius. I can't argue with that. When he was with Phoenix, they averaged like 60 wins a year, which is very impressive. But here's the thing. I remember watching the ESPN First Take, and Stephen A. Smith is an ESPN NBA insider. He has like all this knowledge about NBA, and he was saying that there was an interview where I think D'Antoni was coaching the Suns against the Spurs. I think it was in the Western Conference Finals one year, and he was in the locker room and saying they were down by a lot. I think they were down by like 20 points. And he was like saying, "Coach, what do we do about defense?" He goes, "Oh, the offense will take care of it." What? You have to have a defensive strategy here. They're just going to go in there and wing it offensively. This kind of downs my pick. I thought the Lakers would, with the talent they have, even though Steve Nash is not back yet. I still say the Lakers make the playoffs, but they're not winning the title with this guy. D'Antoni, unless he has complete transformation where he's like, you know what, we got to focus on all aspects of the ball. We got to play. He's going to be offensive, but he's got to go. We got to play strong defense. They're not winning the championship. They're winning maybe like 55 to 60 games with the team they have once Steve Nash gets back. But they're not winning an NBA championship with that coach. I'm sorry. He's not Phil Jackson. And the thing is, I don't get. If Phil Jackson said no and you picked Mike D'Antoni, whatever, that's fine. He's a good coach. He's available.
But Phil Jackson was
exactly. Phil Jackson was available. So why do you not pick him? I don't understand that at all.
It's gonna be a weird Thanksgiving next week.
The Lakers are gonna. I was gonna say the Lakers. They're actually lacking in this one. This is gonna bite them in the end because they want to win championships, and I don't blame them. They have Kobe Bryant, one of the greatest players of all time. Dwight Howard, best center in basketball. Steve Nash, Pau Gasol. They have a great team there, and they're gonna pick Mike D'Antoni to run that team to a championship. Really?
Mike and Mike did a very humorous sketch.
Yeah,
they did a series of humorous sketches.
Yeah, they said it's going to be a very interesting Thanksgiving at the bus house. It's like, Phil, can you pass the gravy? Sure. Dump it on his head. So,
I can't see the mashed potatoes because of the glare of Phil's 11.
Yes, it's like when they called Phil and said, Phil, we decided to go with Mike D'Antoni. He probably looked at his 11 rings, shrugged his shoulders, and said,
that's so
and I think I've come as far as I can go disguising my sore throat.
So with that, that wraps up headlines.
After this, when we get back from the break, we're going to have a NASCAR treat for everybody. And we're going to bring that up next on Triple Threat Talk. Stay tuned.
Hey, Peyton. Welcome back.
Thanks, Papa. What are we going to do to kick off this season?
Same thing as last season. 1 million free Papa John's pizzas.
Good idea. 2 million free pizzas. I like it.
No. 1 million free Papa John pizzas.
2 million pizzas it is. Let's do it.
All season long, Papa John's has 2 million free pizzas for Papa Rewards members. Sign up now at papajohns.com, where a large buffalo chicken pizza is $10 or any large $2 more.
Better ingredients?
Better pizza.
Papa John's. Really? 2 million free pizzas?
Wait till you see what's next.
And welcome back here on Triple Threat Talk. I am Postmaster Jones, Jimmy Biggers. This is Gary the Dr. Lockard and Big B Brandon DeMuro. And right now, we want to go to the Triple Threat Talk hotline.
We have a hotline now?
we apparently have a hotline now. We want to bring on a guest. We have Mr. Dustin Long. He is a Motorsports Contributor to Sports Illustrated's SI.com, USA Today, Speed Sport Magazine, and AthlonSports.com. Mr. Long, how you doing this evening?
All right, thanks, guys. It's good to be on. Although I feel I'm lacking a nickname. You guys have nicknames.
Well, what would your nickname be?
Yeah,
we may need to come up with something by the end of this segment. So.
All right, yeah, we'll have to work on it. That sounds good. So we wanted to bring you on. We want to say thank you for coming on as well. First off, I want to get your thoughts. What are your thoughts on the championship battle between Brad Keselowski and Jimmy Johnson? I know this past week at Phoenix, Jimmy Johnson had a little trouble, had a tire go down, he melted the bead, hit the wall, finished 20 points behind Brad Keselowski after Phoenix, so kind of took a little luster away heading into Homestead. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think the expectation was going into Phoenix, with Jimmy Johnson having a 7-point lead that, he would, in essence, what Brad needed to do is try to see if he could, get within a few points. And I think the expectation was that Jimmy Johnson would extend his points lead. He's had so much success at Phoenix in years past in his championship runs and often put opponents put him away at Phoenix in the next to last race of the season. And I thought what was really interesting over the last weekend was just how Brad and his team, they just seem to be so much better throughout the weekend, and watching them in practice, looking at the lap times, that they seem to be fast. Jimmy Johnson, Chad Knaus, they just seem to be a little bit off. And I remember sitting there in the press box thinking, boy, this looks a little weird, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens on Sunday. And certainly, Brad during the race you saw, and you kind of thought, well, here's a guy who's going to be in the top 5, top 3, potentially challenge for the win if things go right. And you're like looking at Jimmy Johnson going, boy, okay, he may pull out a top 10, maybe he gets a top 5 and pulls one out, but it's going to take a lot. They just seem to be off, and that was something I asked Jimmy after the race, and he said, yeah, we're just kind of a little bit off most of the weekend. So in that sense, I was really surprised. Obviously, you don't expect a tire to go out. As you said, they melted the bead from the brake heat and hit the wall, and that changed everything. So it puts Brad in a great situation, 20 points up. Essentially, it's going to take, in essence, probably one of the greatest comebacks in the sports history for Jimmy to win the championship. Now, obviously, if Brad gets caught up in something or his motor goes early, then that opens the door. But in essence, Brad's in control of this championship. Jimmy has no control. He has to hope something happens to Brad. Otherwise, Jimmy can win this race, and Brad finishes top 10, top 15. Doesn't matter because he's still going to win the championship.
Right. Well, maybe Kevin Harvick was right a little while back when he said Johnson lost that horseshoe. I don't know. I guess we'll find out.
Let me ask you a question here. When you talk about a championship, in the event that a large comeback were to be mounted for Jimmy Johnson and he were to come back, what would it mean? What do you think would it mean for NASCAR as a sport to have a driver with 6 championships now underneath his belt? That seems 5 in a row, and then a couple of years later getting number 6. That would seem pretty unprecedented for a sport such as NASCAR. I think that might. How do you think that would impact the sport?
That would be, well, there's been a big debate going on in the sport among the fans of who would be the better champion for NASCAR. Is it Brad Keselowski who's on the cusp of winning his first title, or is it Jimmy Johnson who could win his 6th title? And for a lot of people, certainly there are the Jimmy Johnson fans, but there are a lot of people who have that Jimmy Johnson fatigue. Johnson has been so successful ever since he's been in Cup, now for about a decade, and he's always been up there in the top 5 in points. He's always been up there in winning races. He's always been up there in the championship hunt. And while six championships would be a remarkable number, and certainly put him now only one, that would only put him one behind the all-time record of 7 shared by Richard Petty and Dale Earnhardt. Again, if Johnson wins the championship, now you can have this serious discussion about if and when he'll surpass Richard Petty and Dale Earnhardt. I mean, I think that's one of the reasons why some people are rooting against him, because there are those older fans who don't want anybody else on that pedestal with Earnhardt and Petty, and if Johnson's up there or Johnson surpasses them, they're not going to like it. So while I think some people look at the remarkable turnaround by Jimmy and the recovery if he comes back and wins this, I think there'll be a lot of people disappointed because they want to see that new champion. Certainly Brad, as a younger guy, 28 years old, very active on social media, has kind of tapped into some of that younger crowd. That's something that NASCAR is looking at. And a lot of people seem to think that having a new champion would be better for the sport. You have to consider that, in the last 7 years, there's only been 2 guys who've won championships in NASCAR. It's Tony Stewart with 2 and Jimmy Johnson with 5 championships. So it's been a long time since somebody else won it, and I think there are a lot of people looking at trying to find that fresh new driver, that fresh new champion. It's just like you look at any other sport. One team dominates for so long, but then here comes the upstart. Sometimes a lot of people are rooting for the upstart just to beat that champion. It's why so many people root against the Yankees. They want to see somebody else win the games and so forth.
Right. So Dustin Brandon here. The question to you is this: as you said, Keselowski is in control of this championship. He has to finish 15th or better, and he gets. It doesn't matter where Johnson finishes. So if Keselowski wins, does this open the door for other drivers that are not as established as a Jimmy Johnson or a Toy Stewart to step up and say, this guy came in and beat somebody that has 5 championships, and they come in and win a championship over somebody that's established in the sport as Jimmy Johnson is?
Well, I mean, certainly it can make other teams feel good because there's been so much, the Johnson and the Canals, that 48 team, they've had so much success through the years that, when the chips have been down, that they've often been able to rally and come back and win. So I think it just it knocks a little bit of that armor. It just kind of knocks Johnson down a little bit because I think he's been on a pedestal in the sense of this. I mean, everybody's trying to beat him, but he's got those 5 championships and he's always been there. I mean, he wasn't there through the last race last year. He was eliminated after Phoenix and finished, I think, in the top 5. But in these head-to-head competitions for the championships, Jimmy doesn't lose. And I think that if somebody beat him straight up, that would take away a little bit of the mythical power that he might seem to hold over the rest of the garage.
Do you see, if Keselowski does win, do you see him being a big name in the sport, or is it just a one-year thing for him and it's going to move to somebody else next year?
Well, I think, Brad won the Nationwide Championship, a couple years ago. This would be a Cup Championship if he wins that. I mean, I think certainly he's a guy that is going to be there for a while. He's 28 years old with Penske Racing, established organization. This is a guy from the Midwest. He's from Michigan. Came up the hard way, ran with the family team. They ran out of money while he was with the team. Had to go find another ride, and that team went out, ran out of money before some other things kind of fell his way, and he ended up, getting on with the Dale Jr.'s Nationwide team. So I think he's going to be there for a while. I don't see any reason to think that he is a shooting star and is here 1 year and going to be gone the next. I think he's somebody that is going to be a part of the fabric of the sport for the next 15 years.
One thing about it, I definitely would not want his phone bill this week, that's for sure. So moving on to
this week.
Yeah, just a little bit. Moving on to the other big happening at Phoenix. Team Boyer versus Team Gordon, I guess you could say. We all know the past that these two have had at Martinsville back in the spring, and then at Texas.
And then at Martinsville again.
And then at Phoenix. What are your thoughts on the situation, and do you agree how Jeff handled the situation? And do you agree with the fines and penalties that NASCAR handed out?
Well, what I wrote earlier in the week on Sports Illustrated's website, SI.com, is that NASCAR should suspend Gordon. So I don't think NASCAR went far enough. I think part of the reason that I'm sure a contributing factor is that if they'd suspended Gordon, then that would have been the talk at Homestead, and suddenly NASCAR's big championship weekend would have been overshadowed by somebody who wasn't even there. I think I looked at what some of the things that NASCAR said when they parked Kyle Busch last year after he intentionally wrecked another driver in a truck race in Texas a year ago and did it and chased him down under caution and put him in the wall. I think in some ways there's similarities. I mean, Jeff tried to wreck Clint once and didn't get it done, and actually put himself into the wall, and then slowed down and waited for Clint to come back around the track so he could make his move and do it. I mean, that's premeditation, and I think you get one shot at it, and maybe it's that fine category probation. But I think if you try to do it a second time, and NASCAR at times in his past penalties has looked at in retaliations as if it's impacted other people, and this was an accident that Gordon took out Boyer, but he also took out Joey Logano and Eric Almirola, two other drivers there, and certainly you could make the point that Clint had a slim chance at the championship, but he still had that opportunity, and Gordon eliminated that. And so I think you could say that, and you can also say that at the time Clint was third in the points. He was only a few points behind Jimmy Johnson, who was Gordon's teammate, and Boyer in essence potentially had the chance to at least climb up to second in the points. There's a big difference between second and third in the postseason prize fund. So I think when you look at those things, you look at some things that NASCAR said and how they reacted with Kyle Busch. Texas, I know Kyle Busch had more of a history than Jeff Gordon. I just think that I think NASCAR, didn't do enough in this case. Jeff Gordon admitted it when I talked to him afterwards, and said that this had escalated. He'd had enough, and he was going to go out and take care of it. And when I asked him, well, what about penalties? What are you worried about what NASCAR's going to do? And he says, look, I had to do what I had to do. They have to do what they have to do.
Do you look for Clint Boyer to retaliate again, or do you think this is over?
I don't think it's over, because I think Clint, you look at how Clint reacted and how his team reacted, maybe they don't do anything this week because of everybody's watching, or maybe they do it and say, hey, we're going to end it, and we're going to end it now. And, then that becomes an issue, because this is a higher speed track. Certainly this is a track where some paybacks have been administered through the last few years. But, at some point, some of these paybacks, somebody's going to get hurt. And while it is exciting and gets everybody all whipped up among the fans, you have to ask yourself, is this worth it? And at some point, the answer is going to be no.
We are running up against the break, but before we do anything, we'd like to ask you if we can keep you on for part of our next segment too, because I think we're going to run over a little bit here.
No problem.
And the question I want to ask you is the question that we had spoke with you before we got on the air, was that I had a difference of opinion, and I keep in mind we all kind of break down into specialties on the show, and NASCAR I watch casually. I watch Bristol. And I watch generally one Martinsville race each year. That's what I watch because I like the action I'm going to see. Those are the races I can count on. Now, to a fan like me, and I want to get this question. I want to get this question out there and then hear your response when we come back from break. But my question to you is this: for a casual NASCAR fan like myself, is it not implausible to think that like I said, I may be out of line here, I may not be, but is it implausible to think that Jeff Gordon had enough, as you had alluded to a moment ago, and that Clint Boyer had done this to him 2 or 3 times, and Jeff Gordon just, he just went after it. He wanted to end it because maybe he viewed Clint Boyer as maybe some kind of bully, and because he kept on running him to the wall in Martinsville, going 3 wide at Martinsville, and doing other things of the such. Even in the same race this past weekend, running him up against the track, and then Gordon, of course, took the actions that he did. I want that question. I would like that question to kind of settle, and if you could answer it when we come back after the break.
like an autograph? I do way more for the fans.
I doubt that very much.
Do you like this hat? Here, it's yours. You can have it.
Take one of my helmets. It's much better than a hat.
What about a ride home? Can I give you a ride home? I mean,
Even better, take my car. Do whatever you want with it.
kidding me? Can you beat that?
I don't think so.
True champions know what fans really want. Mobil 1, the official motor oil of NASCAR. Many champions, many fans. One oil. Mobil 1.
And we are back. We're joined by Dustin Long here, and I had posed to him a question before the break, and we appreciate you staying for part of this next segment. We greatly do. But my question to you was is it plausible that Jeff Gordon had enough of Clint Bowyer?
Yeah, certainly he had enough, and he said it had been escalating throughout the season. Here's the issue is, I know a lot of people talk about that spring Martinsville race where Bowyer made the bonsai move on the late restart to try to get the lead, spun Gordon out. If I'm Jeff Gordon, I'm upset about that, no doubt about that, because it cost him a win and potentially could have cost him a spot in the chase. But NASCAR didn't see anything wrong with that. They that was part of the boys have at it. They kind of beaten around a few other places. If Jeff feels like he's getting run over, then as any driver, he feels like he's got to stand his ground. There are different ways of standing your ground, and I think he tried it the first way at Phoenix in trying to get into the back of Bowyer and spin him out, and he just didn't do it. So I think he tried that, and like I said, I think that had that happened, I don't think we're probably talking as much about suspension, but I think when he then slows down and waits around for Bowyer to come back around and makes a second attempt, that's a premeditation. That's more than trying to make up, I think, at that point for the previous issues that they've had throughout the season. Again, these guys, not everybody likes each other. They have issues. There's a lot of things that go on during a race that you don't see because the cameras don't catch it, because you're watching something else at the track. But I mean, when these guys are all together, maybe somebody cut down on somebody a little bit too close and they didn't like that. And so they're going to drive that guy the way that they drove them. So they're going to cut down on that guy the next time. And then that guy doesn't like it. And all of a sudden now it's going to get into contact, and that's how things escalate. And that's what happened here. And Jeff was trying to clean the slate for this year before the season ended. And, in essence, I think he went too far.
Right, and that was my point to him, was I think he took it a little over the limit, and I agree with you in the sense that he should have been suspended because Kyle Busch did the same thing to Ron Hornaday in the truck race last year. And this year, like you said, Clint Bowyer was right there under, with Jimmy Johnson in the points, and had something happen to Brad Keselowski, he could be right there to pounce with something happened to Jimmy Johnson as well.
If you look at in the replay, where Jeff takes Clint out and Logano gets caught up, the next car that comes through is Keselowski, and Brad easily could have gotten caught up in that.
Right.
And then suddenly now Jimmy's back in this championship hunt because Brad's going to lose a ton of spots, and instead of having a 20-point lead, instead of in being a very good position to win the championship, now you have truly a championship battle. And if Johnson wins it, I mean, if he would have won it in that scenario, then I think certainly a lot of people would have been upset even more so that Jeff's actions, while he was trying to get back at Clint, then could have easily changed the outcome of the championship. Now again, that's something that can happen every race, and maybe it's in NASCAR's best efforts to say, look, we're not going to officiate race 35 any differently from race 1. But I guess what I'd argue is that you pretty much signify that the last 10 races are the chase of the playoffs. That I think you have to look at things a little differently, and if you don't, I don't think you're being fair to the competitors in that sense.
Right, and we also know that if Gordon had wrecked Keselowski in that incident, and Keselowski would have been involved, the black helicopters would have been going crazy, I'm sure.
Dustin flying anyway.
Oh yes. We really appreciate your time, and before you get out of here, I wanted to ask you a couple quick things. What are your thoughts on the the Camping World Truck Series headed to Eldora?
Hey, I think that would be an interesting thing. We'll have to see what happens. I kind of wonder how well they're going to race there. So I need to see it. Need to see more trucks on there than just having a truck running around. I mean, I think a truck running around will be great by itself, but what it'll be like with the pack, and because that type of racing is so different than what a lot of guys are used to, does that race become such a crash fest that a majority of the race is run under yellow? And is that what fans want to see? Now, maybe they just want to see a bunch of trucks torn up, and Eldora may be the place. But I think there's going to be a big novelty factor. I think a lot of people will go see it. But my question is what type of racing are the fans going to see? Are they going to see more yellow flag laps instead of green flag laps because of guys wrecking all over the place?
Have you seen an ARCA race on dirt?
I've not. I've always wanted to see him run over at Springfield or DuQuoin. So I think that those guys pull it off. But those cars are different, and so I don't know. I think there's some different challenges with the trucks, but hey, maybe it'll work out. And if it does, then great for NASCAR. They found something. People want the sport to kind of go back to its roots, and this certainly would be going back to the sport's roots in a way.
Right, absolutely.
Right. Triple Threat Talk here with Dustin Long, who is the Motorsports Contributor to Sports Illustrated. Dustin, we have a segment on the show called Viewer Questions, and someone actually asked this week, who is the next breakout star in NASCAR?
That's a really good question. I think certainly one guy to look at could be a Ricky Stenhouse. He's on his way for a second nationwide title. He's got a 20-point lead on Elliott Sadler going into this weekend. He's going up to Cup next year. He'll replace Matt Kenseth at Roush Fenway Racing as Kenseth goes over to Joe Gibbs Racing, so he's somebody. Certainly there are a lot of young drivers, even younger than that. Ricky's 25, but I think if you're looking even younger, I think the one guy you look at is Ryan Blaney, certainly the son of the Buckeye Bullet, Dave Blaney, and he's 18, had a lot of success in the Truck Series. Another name that's really come up here and had a lot of success in the Truck Series is Kyle Larson, who is a development driver for Earnhardt Ganassi Racing. Certainly, those are two guys that a lot of people are really high on, really looking at for the next few years. Even in the Truck Series, you've got James Busher, who's 22 years old, who's got the points lead going into Homestead. So the one thing about it is the last few years there just have not been a whole lot of young drivers that have come through and had a lot of success and have had the opportunity to kind of work their way up to NASCAR. Obviously, Joey Logano was one who made his way up, but certainly a lot of other guys didn't. But I think when you look at the young talent coming up through the ranks, and you can even go into the K&N series and look at some of the young kids there, including Bill Elliott's son, Chase Elliott, Randy LaJoy's son, Corey LaJoy, and a few others, that this may be as strong a group of young racers at the sports scene probably in a while, maybe in the last decade or so, in such a large number of young drivers. So if everything works out, the next few years certainly could be exciting, especially with some of the older drivers as they get closer to the end of their careers and these new drivers come in. Certainly could create a fun and interesting dynamic in the sport the next few years.
I'm sure our viewer definitely appreciates your contribution to that question.
Absolutely.
And then before we go real quick, we wanted to ask you, earlier on camera you mentioned that, off camera you mentioned you were an IU fan, and there was a story that broke this summer with IU, or this spring with IU, former IU head coach Bob Knight, Bob Knight selling all of his IU stuff and keeping his Ted Williams stuff because the IU stuff, quote unquote, meant something. The Ted Williams stuff meant something to him. Want to get what your thoughts on with that when it comes to IU fans.
Well, yeah, I mean, I graduated from Indiana University, and when I was there, Knight was there, and I covered Knight for when I was working on the school paper. So, the way that his tenure at Indiana ended, it was certainly an ugly situation, and Knight is somebody that will hold a grudge and will hold it forever. And, I don't foresee that, just as as much as he hates Kentucky and will always hate Kentucky, I think he probably looks at Indiana University being almost on the same level as the University of Kentucky now in the level of hatred he has after the way he was let go through all the circumstances that took place. So I understand that the stuff from Indiana University doesn't mean anything to him now, because I think to him Indiana University is dead. It's dead to him. So it's a shame that they can't be worked out. I know that there's been some talk about fans suggesting that maybe they could name the court or the arena after him or something. It's a shame that there isn't something that kind of recognizes what Knight did. Certainly he did some very good things in Indiana University, and obviously the 3 national championships. Certainly had his controversy, certainly had his issues, and was not the perfect person at all. So it's a shame that people can't reconcile their differences, but I don't foresee it changing, and I'm sure Knight will go to his grave angry at Indiana and still be angry beyond the grave.
All right, well, Dustin Long, Sports Illustrated, SI.com, USA Today, Speed Sport Magazine, AthlonSports.com. You can follow him on Twitter at Dustin Long. Dustin, it was great for you to be on the show. We really want to thank you. We really appreciate your time, and we look forward to maybe doing it again real soon.
Sounds good, guys. Hey, I appreciate the time. Thanks for asking.
All right, thank you. Thanks, Dustin. We greatly appreciate it.
All right, thank you. See you.
All right.
Fast forward, rewind. Fast forward, rewind. That's called a juke.
I know your eyes are closed, but really you should look at this.
Fast forward, rewind. Right there. Wait, let me slow it down. Ooh, I missed the tackle. Here, it almost looks better from back here.
That is convincing. You're crying.
Madden NFL 13, rated E for everyone. A new look, a new feel, a new way to Madden forever. EA Sports, it's in the game.
And welcome back here on Triple Threat Talk. I am Postmaster Jones, Jimmy Biggers, along with Big B, Brandon DeMiro, and Gary, the Dr. Locker. So we had a great interview. We want to thank Dustin Long. Wow.
Yeah,
that was an amazing interview.
DJ Becker, you're welcome.
All the NASCAR people that watched the show, we hope that was, you all appreciated that. I actually was able to
stay with us a little bit longer than what he should have, or what he said he would. Yeah. So thank you very much for that.
Yeah. Right. I mean, it was. Yeah. I talked to him on Sunday night. He agreed to come on the show, and we spoke to him for a good 10 minutes before the interview, and then, like I said, the interview went 2 segments. So there you go.
The
good
power
stuff.
of Twitter.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like my father always told me, it never hurts to ask. All you gotta do is ask. So,
all right. So.
Recapping a little bit of Week 10 in the NFL. Just going over a few things that happened.
Let's bring up the box.
Well, we'll do that when we.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I'm losing my mind.
Yeah, I can tell.
All right, so the Giants continue to look like crap. I don't understand it.
The game was so bad they turned to the Broncos after that. No.
The Broncos was so bad because they were blowing the Panthers out.
Yeah,
they put the Patriots Bills
on Fox.
Because this game was already on Fox.
Yeah. The thing that makes me mad is there were other. Why did they put the Saints Falcons on Fox? This game was over.
That's a great question.
This game was over. I don't understand that. And they did this before with the 49ers game when they played the Jets. They turned it off because it was a blowout. So I don't know what's wrong with the Giants. Eli Manning's looked terrible the last couple of weeks.
I think what it's coming down to be on the Giants is the fact that they are struggling with their injury set. They have a couple key notable injuries with Ahmed Bradshaw and a few other definite key personnel out, and I think it's starting to take their toll. And you never know what you're going to get right now with Hakeem Nicks because of his series of injuries that's happened to him. Victor Cruz had a scary moment a couple weeks back. And I think that's what you're seeing, the culmination of injuries taking their toll on the defending champions.
Yeah, and the thing with the Giants is they're 6-4, and we're going to get to a game in a minute. They're not clear favorites in that division anymore.
Absolutely.
All right, so the Saints and Falcons. The Falcons' undefeated streak comes to an end.
Come on, that guy.
The doctor told everybody last week on the show, picking the Saints. The Saints are going to do it.
And that's exactly what happened. Yeah. They got into a quarterback duel because of the complete breakdown on defense, which was my reasoning. And when it comes down to dueling, I'm going to take Drew Brees over everybody except for Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I did pick the Falcons, but it doesn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise me that the Falcons lost this game because, like I said, I don't think the Falcons are very good. They don't have a good. They've had an easy schedule. I think the only team they played is Denver, and they played the Redskins team without RG3. Mm-hmm. So listen to again, Saints were at home. They were at home. So again, you kind of favor the Saints because that's where they play best. So again, Falcons are going to probably win that division. More than like, unless the Bucs somehow get stronger and the Falcons kind of fall off. But again, like I've said about the Falcons all year, I don't buy them long term. I buy them short term, but I don't buy them long term.
Yeah. The Seahawks absolutely walloped the Jets. The Jets are just horrible. That's all there is to it.
All right, let me go about the Jets real quick. The only touchdown that they scored was a fumble by Russell Wilson, who held onto the ball too long and just lost the ball. And the Jets picked it up and ran for a touchdown. So that was 7-7. The thing that baffled me most, okay, if you're gonna start Mark Sanchez, as much as I like Tim Tebow, don't throw him back and forth. It doesn't help the ebb and flow of the team. And this is the one game I saw all year with the Jets that they didn't even know what they were doing. There was a play where Tim Tebow was in, then Mark Sanchez came in. There's a play where Tim Tebow came in, and then Mark Sanchez was going to go in, and they're like, "No, come back." He's like, "What am I doing?" He didn't know what was going on, and it doesn't help Tim Tebow's confidence. It doesn't help Mark Sanchez's confidence. This is why the Jets are absolutely terrible. I mean, kudos to the Seahawks. Seahawks play very well at home, like they always do, but the Jets just don't know who they are. I don't understand. And there's things going on this week about we're still not going to start Tim Tebow, and anonymous sources said Tim Tebow is terrible. Well, what's that make Mark Sanchez? I mean, he has the worst. He's 32nd in QBR to 34 quarterbacks. That's absolutely horrible.
They let Tim Tebow throw 3 passes, for God's sakes, and people are saying he's horrible. Well, you know what? It wasn't for a whole lot of yardage, but he completed all 3 passes.
I'm gonna say this. As much as I like Tim Tebow, if you do not intend starting him the whole game, then do not start him. You're gonna ride with Sanchez, ride him to the end, because you're gonna fail with Sanchez. Ask Denver how Tim Tebow helped out their team. They were 1-4. They're further gone than the Jets are further gone than the Broncos were. The Broncos were only 5 games in, and they said, "No, we can't do this anymore. We're absolutely terrible. We'll just give the guy the ball," and he helped them get to the playoffs. The Jets are just stubborn. They're like, you know what?
Rex Ryan was an idiot.
Yeah, you know what? It's like the Jets are like, you know what? We're 3-6. We could start Tim Tebow, and we might get to the playoffs. Maybe 9-7 if things fall away. But you know what? We don't care about that. If we start Tim Tebow, that means everyone that said start Tim Tebow, they're all right. We don't want that to happen to us. So it's like the thing is, you're 3-6 with Mark Sanchez. Your season's pretty much a bust because you're playing absolutely terrible. What do you have to lose by putting him in the game? You're already horrible as it is. You couldn't get any worse.
Now, here's the thing. People who think that Tim Tebow could not help out this team really don't know much about football at all. And I don't mean to be an insult at all. It's just fact, because when you look at his performance, what he did last year's Denver Broncos, it was an amazing feat, and we covered it widely here on the show. He put them all on his back. He did have help from some key players, such as Eric Decker and
Thomas.
Yeah, he had definitely key personnel, players around him to help him. But the fact of the matter is, he took the weight on his shoulder and he went 6-2.
Yeah.
6-2 on his own. 7-2 on his own, including a postseason win over the.
Oh, sorry, 7-4. They were 8-8.
They were 8-8.
Yeah.
So people that say that Tim Tebow could not help out this team, but they give it to him full time, I simply refer you to the Broncos of last year, who had less talent than this Jets team has right now.
I don't get why they brought him in. And the thing that really frustrates me, one of those anonymous Jets players said, "Oh, Tim Tebow, he's not a quarterback. He's that wildcat guy." Well, you know what? If every team in the NFL that plays the Jets know that he's that wildcat guy, well, guess what? When they're in Team 2, they're going to say, "Okay, Tim Tebow's in. Let's flood the line. He's not going anywhere." And then it's like, "Okay, Tim Tebow, you got 1 yard. Great job. Get back on the bench." It's like, what are they doing? I don't understand.
Big B. A tie?
Oh, see, lots of things come in ties. You have, of course, your neckties. You have pretzels that come in little ties.
I like pretzels.
You have twist ties that keep your trash bags in order, and you have the San Francisco and Rams game. Those all have ties.
All right, so
and I have to say something.
I'm not going to bash the Niners. I'm bashing the Rams.
Yeah, you got to bash the Rams. We had literally 6 chances to lose this game.
No Alex Smith.
No Alex Smith. Well, Colin Kaepernick actually did a phenomenal job.
I'm not denying that, but
he did a great job.
I know you're going to agree with me. I guarantee you guys win this game with Alex Smith.
Oh, for sure.
Absolutely.
But Colin Kaepernick did a phenomenal job for the amount of prep work that he was faced with. The fact that David Akers misses a kick from comfortable range, the fact that you had a key turnover late in the game, the fact that you had a delay of game, we had at least 5 or 6 chances to lose this game, and the Rams could not capitalize. It comes down to one thing. Big B is going to cover it, but I was thinking the exact same thing. It comes down to discipline.
There's 2 instances where the Rams could win this game. The first was the first play in overtime. Yep. Sam Bradford throws the pass to, look who's back, Danny Amendola. He's back, he's running 80 yards. They're down at the 2-yard line. The Rams are winning this game.
So fast.
False start on the offense.
Illegal procedure.
Lining up.
That's still illegal procedure.
Lining up in the neutral zone.
Okay, so then the game goes on. Then eventually the Rams get ahead of team again. The Rams are driving down the field, and there's Zerline who's hit 60-yarder this year.
Kicks the game winner, but
53-yarder. It's good. They can't ice the kicker. They can't do anything. Kick is good. Rams win. Pull the upset. My pick has come true. Wait a minute. Delay of game. Delay of game is the stupidest penalty in all of football. Like we said earlier with Alabama, it shows a lack of discipline. Even though it wasn't a delay of game, it was still a defensive false start. The Rams were begging, pleading to win this game. They lost Alex Smith. The Rain Candlestick. Rams have no business winning this game. None. Everything was put in front. It was like Thanksgiving dinner. They put the plate right in front of you. Feast. Take it. It's yours. And they just blow it.
Alex Smith is in this game. They win this game. The Niners do. I don't think anybody can fault the Niners. You lose your quarterback. We saw it happen. Every team except for the Steelers that lost their quarterback this week lost, and there were 4 of them that went down. It was 3 on 4. Of course, Jay Cutler, Alex Smith, Michael Vick, and now the Ben Roethlisberger. The Steelers were the only team in that mashup to win. So no one can fault the Niners for that. They lost their starting quarterback. Colin Kaepernick came in and did a decent. I said phenomenal. I'm gonna have to downgrade that a little. He did a decent job of leading them on.
He did phenomenally with the
But 24-24, the first tie. It is notable to say this was the first tie since 2008 when Philadelphia and Cincinnati tied a game of 13 apiece.
All right, so the what was meant to be a defensive matchup turned out to be pretty close to a defensive matchup. Yep. The Texans defeating the Bears 13-6. Jay Cutler goes out with a concussion in the second quarter.
Here comes Jason Campbell.
In comes Jason Campbell. Cutler did throw 2 INTs, but there was a key play late in that game that I think had Jay Cutler been in the game, it would have been made, and they probably would have tied him.
And that guy got fined $30,000 for that hit too.
Well, not only that, but there was a play where Jason Campbell did a check down, and it was clear. I think it was Brandon Marshall and one other receiver was open. He didn't see him for whatever reason. I don't know why. They probably would have ran it pretty far. He did a check down. There was no reason to do the quick check down. You could clearly tell that Campbell was showing some rust.
Yeah.
But the Texans do capitalize. They do win 13-6 in a nasty game. Yeah. The weather was awful.
There were 6 turnovers in that game. Yeah. The weather played a factor in all of that.
I like Jason Campbell. I think he's got a fantastic cannon for an arm, but I don't know. He hasn't found the right system yet. He was in Washington, didn't work out. He was in Oakland, didn't work out. He's a backup to Jay Cutler. He's not going to start him anytime soon. I think he deserves a chance to start somewhere. I like his arm. I think he's got a good arm.
So last week on this show, we all stated the wallop of the week.
I think this is the reason the Raw was number 1 last week.
We all said,
it was. And I said it would be too.
Yeah.
We all said, the Steelers will just walk right over the Chiefs. Walk right over them.
I think the Chiefs kind of walked on Ben Roethlisberger.
Yeah, to say the least. Big Ben goes out, possibly a career-ending injury.
Not the injury he suffered, but the injury other than that.
Yeah, the other injury he suffered. He was on radio today and on record himself saying that with the rib injury he had, it was a rare injury.
Yeah. When he got injured on the game was a shoulder sprain. Which
Right.
he can come back from that.
Right. But this injury, apparently what the deal is if he moves a certain way, he can pierce his aorta and it will kill him. So it's not a for sure thing yet, but he may very well never be able to play again.
Yeah.
We're not sure, but anyway, and with that note, the Steelers do pull it out in overtime.
Yeah.
And this was not due to their quarterback, because their backup quarterback came in late in the game.
Yeah.
So the Chiefs played phenomenal. For what the Chiefs consider phenomenal.
Hey, for the first time all year, the Chiefs led.
Yeah, here's the thing. This is
The
not
first regulation lead.
To me, this is not the Chiefs playing good. This is Steelers playing bad. The Chiefs are.
I disagree.
The Chiefs are absolutely terrible. I don't know what Pittsburgh was doing. Something happened to Pittsburgh at Heinz Field where they usually play great. Chiefs just did something to them, and I don't know what happened to Pittsburgh. The Chiefs. I don't. They had a lead in the game, and I know it was a close game, but all year the Chiefs have been laughably horrible. I just don't see the Chiefs good in this game. I think the Steelers just played awful.
I disagree for reasons I'll get into after the break.
Whoa! Dad, where'd you get that?
Oh, you won't believe what just happened.
Don't tell me you got the last Diet Dew.
Yeah.
I love the taste of Diet Dew. What do you want for it? Deal.
Diet Mountain Dew. Yeah, it tastes that good.
Hey, Hotshot. Meter's running.
And welcome back here on Triple Threat Talk. Big B, Brendan DeMiro, Gary the Dr. Lockard, and PostMaster Jones, Jimmy Biggers discussing NFL. And before the break, the doctor was about to delve into the Chiefs Steelers.
I disagree with the fact that you say that the Steelers played horribly. I have to say, I saw something in the Chiefs that I had not seen in a while. Matt Castle going all the way back, throwing his passes with a rocket-like arm. He was throwing with intent. Jamal Charles, phenomenal running. And this Derek Johnson character was playing out of his mind, tackling everything that moved. This Chiefs team was on a mission to try to win this game. And I think that it was their defense that I think, even with Big Ben in the mix, their defense held the Steelers to 10 points. To 10 points. I think that the other two were obviously field goals made after Roethlisberger went out. But I strongly believe that this Chiefs team has found some sort of light underneath them. I'm not saying that they're going to go all out balls to the wall the rest of the season. I'm not saying that at all. But on this particular night, the Chiefs found somehow to dig deep down, and they fought and they fought and they lost. But maybe they shouldn't have.
They've seen the light, and the light's about to turn off on them because they're absolutely terrible.
And I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm just saying that they played well this game.
I've said this before about certain bad teams. I think what happened was with the Chiefs, like, they were 1-8, right? They were 1-7 entering that game. We're 1-7. We have no business being on Monday Night Football. We're on national television. Let's show up. Let's play. That's what happened in this game.
It may have well been.
The Chiefs were on the national stage. The lights are on. Everyone's watching. They're like, we're going to try to step up and win this game. And they almost did. Kudos to them for almost trying to win the game. But again, the game they play this coming up week, it's not on national TV. It's not Monday Night Football. They're going to get trounced probably, whoever they're playing.
Get the Chiefs the broom, because it's the man. So that wraps up Week 10 recap. We move on to Week 11 pick'ems. And as you can see on the big board there, the doctor went a 10-3 last week. Me and Big B a 8-5.
Just to let you know, we threw out the Rams. Because I picked the Rams, they picked the Niners, so it's kind of like
we threw that game out because it was a tie, so that will not affect our.
Thanks, it looks like it could have been 9-4.
Yes. Yeah. So what is it with the freaking crappy Thursday night games? I'm getting fed up.
This one's not crappy as you may think.
I might have to agree with them on this.
I'm just getting aggravated. It seems like more often than not on Thursday night we just get a good
one's not as bad as
they're just not sexy names, I guess.
Yes. The Miami Dolphins and the Buffalo Bills.
The reason I say this isn't bad is because Buffalo almost knocked off New England last week. And the Dolphins, they've been pretty consistent all year. I mean, they got beat by Texas.
They got trounced.
I have no idea how that happened. Chris Johnson somehow woke up.
They got trounced. I mean, that's all you can say.
I did like how Buffalo played last week, but I think I'm going to go with the Dolphins. I think last week they just had a bad game. I like the Dolphins.
What are you doing? You're picking out of order.
Oh, sorry.
I'm picking the Bills.
I pick the Dolphins.
I'm picking the Bills as well.
All right. I think Michael's going to be pretty happy.
The Green Bay Packers go to Ford Field to play Matt Stafford and the Detroit Lions.
I think we're going to go with the Packers on this one.
The Lions are trying to turn the season around. The season ended, I think, last week against the Vikings. They're 0-3 in that division. The Madden curse is well alive. I picked the Packers.
I picked the Packers. The Arizona Cardinals go on the road to probably a very mad and angry Atlanta team, and they take on the Atlanta Falcons.
I'm picking the Falcons because they are going to be pissed.
The Cardinals continue to struggle. They lose their 6th string now? Is that 6th in a row?
Something like that.
I pick the Falcons.
Pick the Falcons as well. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers go on the road to Carolina, who just got absolutely obliterated by Peyton Manning last week.
Who doesn't?
The Carolina Panthers.
Usually when a team loses a couple at home, they come back, but they've got to figure out something in Carolina because it's not working. And it's not Cam Newton. No. Cam Newton is playing bad, but it's due to a bad supporting cast around him.
He got sacked 7 times last week.
I mean, you can't when you're running for your life. What do you want from the kid when he's got to constantly look over his shoulder? I'm picking the Bucks.
I picked the Bucks for the sole reason of Doug Martin, who I think is going to be rookie of the year the way he's playing. I picked the Bucks.
I picked the Bucks as well. The Cleveland Browns on the road.
Go to Jerry World
to take on the Dallas Cowboys.
I am picking the Cowboys. 20-point. I have to. We didn't touch on this. I don't want to. Okay. A 21-point swing in the course of 4 minutes because of defensive turnovers last week. I'm picking the Cowboys.
I picked the Cowboys, but this game is going to be close because for some reason the Cowboys don't play well in their home stadium. It's like a vacation for the visiting team. It's like, ooh, look at this $1.2 billion pretty much playpen. It's got this. It's got that. Oh, this is amazing. Cowboys are going to win, but they're going to struggle in this game because for some reason when they're at home, they're kind of like. We won, but not really.
The Philadelphia Eagles go. I'm sorry, I picked the Cowboys.
Top down keeps dropping. Maybe it's a sign of things to come.
Philadelphia Eagles against the Washington Redskins.
Ooh, this is tough.
This is a tough game. I'm gonna say since it's at Washington. The Eagles are in turmoil, and they refuse to acknowledge the fact that LaShawn McCoy equals wins. So I'm going to pick the Redskins.
This is tough because I thought Nick Foles played very well last week. I thought he played well against the Cowboys. I thought they brought him in, and I thought he looked fantastic. But I think RG3 is going to help this team a little bit more. I think last week was a bad game for them. Not last week, but the week before against the Panthers. I picked the Redskins.
I picked the Redskins as well. The New York Jets go on the road to take on the St. Louis Rams.
The Rams are mad. They let one get away last week. And couple that with the fact that the Jets don't know what the hell they're doing. I'm picking the Rams.
I don't think, and for the remainder of this NFL season, I don't think I'll ever pick the Jets again. I know they play Jacksonville down the road. I still might even pick Jacksonville then. The Jets are absolutely terrible. I picked the Rams.
I picked the Rams as well. The Cincinnati Bengals. Just because the Chiefs are in it.
This is not. Don't even say it because this is going to be a beatdown. But both people. This is not a toilet bowl game. If that's what you were going to say.
No, toilet bowl games.
This is not a toilet bowl game.
Actually, yeah.
It might have to be. Everything else is kind of.
Yeah.
There may not be a toilet bowl game this week because the Bengals are a phenomenal team. They're phenomenal.
They woke up 1 week. They're not that phenomenal. They're not.
They beat one man and could beat the other man.
They're not that phenomenal. They were They could have had a 4-game losing streak.
Anyway, again.
So the Bengals and the Chiefs in what I think is the Triple Threat Talk toilet bowl game of the week.
I'm picking the Bengals. AJ Green is gonna go bonkers.
I picked the Bengals. Like I said before, and I've said it every week, the Chiefs are absolutely terrible. I don't know what people were thinking picking him to win the AFC West. The Bengals win this game.
Hey, collectively, we said they wouldn't.
Yeah. The Bengals win. The Jacksonville Jaguars and probably the wallop of the week. The wallop of the week.
I'm picking the Texans.
Against the Houston Texans.
I picked the Texans as well. I mean, let's face it. Jacksonville was maybe a 5 to 6 win team with Jones-Drew. Without him, they are absolutely terrible. They don't know what they're doing. I think Justin Blackman hasn't worked out for Jacksonville at this point, as they seem they hoped he'd be. I picked the Texans this one.
I picked the Texans as well. The New Orleans Saints look to continue their winning ways to go on the road against Oakland.
I think they do. I'm picking the Saints.
Even though they're playing the black hole, you can't argue with this team right now. Drew Brees is playing really good. The Saints are going to be 5-5. This one I picked the Saints.
Pick the Saints as well. The Denver Broncos look to put an absolute clamp on the AFC West as they take on division rivals San Diego Chargers.
I think this might be a wallop of the week, too.
Well, the Chargers stick them again.
The Broncos are going to destroy them.
I don't see another 24-point halftime lead for the Chargers this time. I think... hopefully the Chargers don't try to use any illegal substances this time. So, but I picked the Broncos.
I picked the Broncos as well. In what me and Big B classify as the game of the week.
Yeah.
The Indianapolis Colts with absolutely phenomenal. I would be shocked if he's not Rookie of the Year.
Him and Doug Martin, I think.
Yeah, it's going to come down to them too. Andrew Luck goes on the road to probably his biggest test of the year so far to the date. Tom Brady and the New England Patriots. And this is like
tough.
This game is like
because New England's
U of L UK rivalry
New England's not playing fantastic.
It seems every year these teams play each other.
Well, last year was
and every year except for last season. It's like a absolute nail biter down to the wire. You never know what's going to happen. It's crazy.
This is a late game on CBS too.
Yes,
because it's at home. I really honestly don't think in that secondary that the Colts have an answer for Rob Gronkowski. I think that this will be the first time that that defense has really had to deal with the full effect of Rob Gronkowski.
Right.
I'm gonna pick the Patriots.
I'm actually going to call for the upset here. I like how the Colts are playing. I think Luck's playing really good. I think he's finding a really good weapon in Reggie Wayne. And remember, the Patriots defense isn't fantastic, and the Patriots haven't been playing fantastic this year at all. They almost lost to the Bills, who the Jets beat out, so look how that is. So I like the Colts in this game. I think the Colts are going to upset. I think it's going to be 27-24 Colts.
I agree with you on the score, but I think it's going to be the other end of the spectrum. I think it is going to be a close game. It would not shock me in the least little bit if the Colts won, but I'm going with the Patriots.
Okay.
What probably would have been the game of the week had we had Big Ben Roethlisberger in a QB, because we all know how nasty of a rivalry and what a game this can be.
Yeah.
The Baltimore Ravens go to Heinz Field to take on the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Sunday Night Football. If you're not watching Survivor Series, you're going to be watching this. I'm picking the Ravens.
Or Boardwalk Empire, or whatever, Walking Dead, whatever. Anyway, so this game, like you said, would have been game of the week if it was Joe Flacco versus Aaron Roethlisberger, right?
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Well, now it's Joe Flacco versus Byron. This is all we have left, Witch. Okay? First of all,
yes, that's a good one. That's a good one.
So now, this is not the first time.
It's in stitches.
This is not the first time the Ravens have played a Steelers without Big Ben.
I have to give him a rare high five.
That was excellent.
That was good.
So like I said, this is not the first time the Ravens have played the Steelers without Big Ben. They've played against Tommy Maddox from the XFL, Charlie Batch, and the Ravens have all beaten them all. So like I said before, without Big Ben, they have Byron. That's all we have left. Switch back there. I picked the Ravens.
I picked the Ravens, and I'll probably be divorced tomorrow.
There's always Match.com, though.
And I know he usually introduces the game, but I have a segue for this. This game, we find out what happens when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object. The Browns come to the Bears come to Candlestick Park and take on the 49ers. And what would have once again been an amazing game if both starting QBs play. It will still be an amazing game because this game was going to be a defensive fight. There was no question about that at all. The offensive part of the spectrum might be a little bit sullied and muddled by the fact that the starting QBs, you don't know what you're going to get. Alex Smith looks like he might be playing, whereas Jay Cutler not so much. So either way the coin flips, I'm picking the 49ers because they're at home and they're going to want to prove that they can win at Candlestick.
I think this game is going to not boil down to, but this game features the two best teams in the NFC. The winner of this game is going to put a stamp on it saying, we're the best team in the NFC, we're going to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl, blah, blah, blah. I don't know if this team's going to go to the Super Bowl because, again, the playoffs are very odd. But I do like the Bears in this game. I think the Bears defense is playing very well. I'm thinking Jay Cutler will play. If he doesn't play, I still pick the Bears only because I think their defense is going to be able to shut them down. I like the Bears.
This by far to me is probably the toughest game to pick this week. I agree with Big B. If Jay Cutler's playing, I think I would lean towards the Bears just because.
Well, again, we don't know if he's playing.
Right.
Same with Alex Smith.
Yeah, and same with Alex Smith. I mean, if we have, I will say this: if it's Jason Campbell versus Colin Kaepernick, I'm taking the 49ers all day.
Yeah.
I honestly think if the Bears still had Caleb Haney, I would take the Bears because Caleb Haney nearly beat the Packers the year the Packers won the Super Bowl.
This is true.
So, but with that, I am taking the home field here. I think the 49ers win. Simple fact, because they are at home. It's Monday Night Football. They're going to be jazzed up and raring to go. And they're going to want to make a statement. This is going to be a statement game. Yeah. Like you said, it's going to put their stamp on who is the best and who's, second best in the NFC. So that wraps up Pick'ems this week. Good stuff from everybody, as always. And looks like me and the doctor are straight down the line the same on every game this week, which is a rare. We're there. So only Big B.
Big B is going to go 3 games back. So
I guess we're going to be undefeated. So. As the hotline is ringing.
Looks like Dustin Long's calling us again.
So with that, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we will get into wrestling right after this.
Hey, Nick Dinsmore here. Do you have the dream of becoming a pro wrestler? Well, I did, and I came to Ohio Valley Wrestling. Join the Nick Dinsmore Pro Wrestling class today. I'm a former WWE superstar, I'm a former 9-time Ohio Valley Wrestling heavyweight champion, and I can train you to be the best today. For all the information regarding the Nick Dinsmore Pro Wrestling class, go to ovwrestling.com and click on school. Join the Nick Dinsmore Pro Wrestling class today. ovwrestling.com, click on school.
And we are back here at Triple Threat Talk, Big B, alongside the Dr. Gary Lockard and Postmaster Joe Jimmy Biggers. We finished our NFL picks, now it's on to wrestling. And we first move on to OVW, the coverage this week. 2 things happened at OVW this week that were pretty significant. Was Cliff Compton had to vacate his television title due to an injury. He actually posted a picture of his foot on Twitter. It wasn't a pretty sight, so he actually could not compete. So they had an impromptu match for the TV championship between Joe Coleman and Moose. And their new TV champion is Joe Coleman, who we're supposed to interview this evening. We couldn't get a chance to. Hopefully we can do it with Joe next week. Hopefully he still has the title at this point. So we're going to try to interview Joe Coleman next week to talk about his TV title win and see what he's going to do for the future, remainder of 2012 and 2013. Yet again, Rob Terry gets another chance to fight Crimson for the OVW Heavyweight Championship as he beats Jack Black, somehow gets a main event shot. Rob Terry wins again. So this is the 3rd time he's going to face Crimson for the title. And coming from a fan standpoint, I don't like it because I feel like Rob Terry's gotten enough shots as it is. I think someone else deserves a chance at Crimson.
Where's Johnny Spade's rematch?
Exactly. So
we have a great relationship with OVW and TNA. Yeah. Okay, we mainly stay on the WWE side of things though, because. And I don't think TNA would disagree that none of this, we wouldn't be where we are right now if it wasn't for WWE, and I think even TNA would have to recognize that fact. So it's for that I say what I'm about to say, and it may cause flack. You can't do what you've been doing. You can't. You got to let OVW function the way they were before you took over. You have got to see what your talent can do against the people without you calling the shots.
You know what it seems like to me? It seems like the people, what it seems like to me, and I'm not trying to bash OVW, I love OVW, but it seems like to me that what OVW's turned into since their partnership with TNA is like, oh, here's the people on TNA that didn't get time, so we're going to put them on OVW. It's like, why? You have people there like Johnny Spade, where's his rematch, like you said, Silvio. I can't name anybody more than they're on TNA now.
And I also want to preface this by saying this is not OVW's fault at all. They are answering to somebody now. Yeah. And if anything, I want TNA to hear this. OVW was the best indie promotion in the entire area, in the entire country, up until shortly after you took it over.
Now it's TNA Light.
Now it's TNA. You've got to there are geniuses writing there. You have Al Snow, you have Jack Black, you have Adam Revolver, and you have Frank Miller. Yeah. All of them know what the fans want and know what the fans love. Yeah. And you are putting your talent over them just because they are your talent, and to hell with everybody else. I don't like it. No. I don't like it. You are destroying a once great promotion, and you need to see the error in your ways. Yeah. I plead with you. Yeah. Let this vice script go. OVW can still be your training ground. We love to have you guys there. We love you guys there. You guys are great to be there. Great interviews, great thoughts, great stuff. Yeah. But it has to stop.
Yeah, it's not going to. It's not going to.
It's not going to. I can promise you.
Because I've been keeping track of OVW the past couple weeks. I know you haven't been going. I thank Brian Cannon for his blog. I always keep track of because he's always there and he's posting the results. So that's why I'm able to check out what's going on when we're not there. And it's just, you wouldn't know that it's OVW anymore. You think it's TNA's second show kind of thing. Yep. So, I mean, it's
like SmackDown.
Yeah, pretty much.
And there are great talent there. We're friends with Taylor Hendricks, Alex Silva. Yeah. People are there from TNA that deserve to be there. Yeah. But these are also people that were working well with OVW itself before TNA told them what to do.
And it's funny to me, it's like, ever since TNA, got the partnership that they did with OVW, Taylor Hendricks has been doing that heel, and she's not really doing what she knows how to do. Is a really good wrestler. Because when she first came in, she was phenomenal.
She's amazing. She still is.
She deserved to be the women's champion at the time, and now she's just being the heel, and she's trying to champion the cheap way. I don't like seeing that.
And it's not the talent that's the problem. No, it's how the talent is being used.
Right.
And it's got to stop.
Yeah, so
that's
we can go all day on that.
That's OVW coverage there. We want to transition over to WWE coverage.
Yeah, real quick. This is kind of this Raw setup, Survivor Series. So, Caitlyn defeated Layla to become the number one contender for the Divas Championship. I think it's a good move. I think Caitlyn had a really good match at Hell in a Cell between the three of them, Layla, Eve, and Caitlyn herself. I don't know if she's going to, because I thought she deserved to win last month at Hell in a Cell. So I think this is a good win for her, and I think she deserves to be in the spot she's in.
The only thing, by the way, and I know I'm fast forwarding a little bit here, but I've got to say something here also. The only thing that stopped this from being the worst Raw in 10 years was Jerry Lawler coming back.
Yeah. I think it was great to see Jerry Lawler coming back. The thing I'm going to talk about next is completely, I don't care for that at all.
Say what you want to say, and then I'm going to disagree.
Okay. I think this was the wrong move to do. Especially with who's coming back. I didn't see Raw, but I read the stuff and I heard what happened. People talked about it.
I watched it and I was very disgusted.
I don't blame you. I didn't care for what I read or what I've heard about from people. And the thing that I have a problem with this is, I know things happen on TV and that's whatever. I mean, they've done worse things than this. Believe me, they've done worse things. But the thing I have a problem with this is, now that they did this on national TV, it kind of feels like the thing with Joe was all a ruse. It wasn't really happening. It was all storyline. That's what it makes me feel like, because they just make a mockery of this. And you think, oh, well, maybe, because people questioned it at the time. They questioned, maybe the thing with Jerry Lawler didn't really happen. Maybe it was just all storyline. And people were like, you can't say that because it was on the news and stuff like that. But now you're not so sure, because they did it on TV and they're like, oh, well, maybe Jerry Lawler thing wasn't. Maybe it didn't really happen. Maybe they just were faking it. So,
I'm going to disagree. I think that this was not. I mean, you don't want to go around faking heart attacks. It's like crying wolf. But usually when they've done stuff like this, the stuff that has really gone over really horribly with the crowd and in the public eye is when they leave on this note. Yeah. Had they left with this note and we found out that this whole thing, or even if they left the ring while this was going on, I would agree with you all in saying this was a disgusting act. But they resolved it 10 seconds later. It was clear that it was a fake heart attack that he was faking. They made it clear that it was faking. I knew he was faking from the get-go. Yeah. His eyes told me that. Everything that his body language did.
I
I disagree that it was the discussing act for that fact. If they would have continued and drew this out a couple segments, then yes, it would have been discussing.
I like Paul Heyman, but this is a slime ball move, in my opinion. But you know.
Yeah, I totally disagreed. So the $1 Million Challenge was on for what it's worth. Brad Maddox ended up in an ambulance. No surprise there.
But from what I've been reading and what I've been looking up, this isn't the end of Brad Maddox. Triple H is actually really high on Brad Maddox. So I don't think we've seen the last of Maddox in the WWE. I think he might. I don't think he's going to appear maybe a lot in the rest of the year, but I think 2013 he's going to start being used a little bit more because I think Triple H is really fan of his anyway.
Seems like The Miz is turning the babyface.
He did. He joined Team Foley, which we'll get into our picks.
I wouldn't be surprised if he turned his back.
I think honestly with The Miz,
even though we called it last week that this would happen.
Yeah, I think The Miz has done all that he can do as a heel, honestly. The Miz has been heel for a long time.
He's always been a heel.
Well, he was a face when he first started, but that was like years ago.
Right.
So I think The Miz has done all he can as a heel. I think he's very popular with charity. A lot of people like him outside the WWE. He's very popular. I mean, he dates Maurice for crying out loud, so how can you not like him? So I think he's going to finally go face for a change. I think The Miz is one of those talents, kind of like Chris Jericho, in the sense where I think he can work on both ends of the spectrum, where he can be a face or a heel.
Right. So R-Truth defeated Lord Tensai, setting up a U.S. title shot at Survivor Series against Antonio Cesaro.
That kind of sucks for Justin Gabriel because he's kind of been put to the wayside. We thought he'd get his push, but it seems like R-Truth get a shot. Maybe they're just doing a thing where they're switching it up, giving someone else a chance at the U.S. title audience.
Could be. So that leads us into Survivor Series, which is this Sunday. I will be in attendance along with three of our esteemed colleagues, Chris, Emily, and John. So our head of security will be escorting me up to the Survivor Series. So it should be good. Hopefully I can get us a full update and a full report next week on the show. So with that, we'll move into Survivor Series Pick'ems, and we'll start off with the Divas Championship. Eve, your champion, versus Caitlyn.
Why not? I'm picking Caitlyn.
I'm picking Eve.
I picked Caitlyn to win it. The United States Championship, Antonio Cesaro versus R-Truth.
I think they're really still high on Cesaro. I don't see him losing the title. Like, again, I'm kind of leaning towards what you said a week or two ago about Jack Swagger. Even though R-Truth is technically from the United States, but I think they're setting up Jack Swagger for a return on this.
Yes.
I like Cesaro on this one.
I like Cesaro.
I like Cesaro as well. Team Foley, consisting of Team Hell No, Kofi Kingston, Randy Orton, and The Miz, versus Team Ziggler, Dolph Ziggler, Team Rhodes Scholars, Alberto Del Rio, and Wade Barrett.
Don't worry, I'm not going to throw a video then this week. Did you see last week?
Yeah, he threw the video.
Did you?
After you said like Wade Barrett, oh my god, I put the Wade Barrett there. Anyway, the Survivor Series matches, usually the faces usually win, so I'm going with Team Foley in this one, even though Team Ziggler is stacked with some of the best talent they have in the company right now, but I like Team Foley in this one, honestly.
I'm picking Team Ziggler. I think that if you look at what this Team Foley consists of and what's been going on with those faces, I think it's gonna have the heels get a last.
And again, I think another point is even though the Miz is kind of on the face team, you really trust him at this point too. So.
I like Team Foley to win, and I think it'll be a case of Miz might be the sole survivor.
I'm thinking the same thing about Ziggler. Actually, I think Ziggler and Barrett might be the sole survivors. That's it.
We shall see. The World Heavyweight title is on the line. The Big Show defends his title in a rematch against Sheamus.
Begrudgingly, I'm picking the Big Show. I don't see Sheamus winning it back this quickly. Big Show, unfortunately.
Big Show wins. And finally, a triple threat match for the WWE Championship. CM Punk, your champion for 364 days.
At that point.
Versus John Cena versus Ryback.
You could pick Ryback for the reason you mentioned. You could pick John Cena because he's John Cena. But I think they want CM Punk to be champion for a year. And B, I think they're dead set, they're focused, they're standing tall, they're saying this is the match we want to have at Royal Rumble. They're going to have CM Punk versus The Rock. So in order for that to happen, CM Punk has to win this match. That's why I'm picking CM Punk.
There's still one more pay-per-view before Royal Rumble.
Well,
and I think that Ryback does win this. I think with all the misfortune that's happened to CM Punk over the last few weeks, the triple threat match, the first triple threat match, and then all this quote-unquote disrespect, everything blowing up in his face. I think that the perfect icing on the top of that cake is to have him lose the title 364 days. John Cena has actually come out and said he really doesn't want to be champ anymore. That leads me to think Ryback might take this one down and then lose it the next pay-per-view because they haven't done that in a long time.
I would actually like to see John Cena win this match. He won't because he's going to win the title at WrestleMania against The Rock. But I don't think Ryback's going to win either. I agree with Big B what he said earlier. They may put him in the picture, but I think CM Punk wins. So.
All right, so this is for our pick'ems this week for Survivor Series. Before we end the show, any wild cards from anyone or idiots of the week?
I think we did have an idiot of the week.
Okay.
Apparently, yet again, our idiot involves a man thinking he can beat up on a woman. This particular woman is a very popular woman, Mrs. Hope Solo. The fiance of Hope Solo, Jeremy
Stevens, I think.
Stevens, was arrested on assault charges for allegedly assaulting Mrs. Hope Solo. Absolutely disgusting. And you are this week's Triple Threat Talk Idiot of the Week.
No wild card here.
No wild card here. So thank you for watching the show this week. If you want to like us on Facebook, you can like us on Facebook at facebook.com/Triple Threat Talk. You can follow us on Twitter at Triple Threat Talk. And you can send us any comment or question you have at triplethreattalk@yahoo.com. And also visit our website, triplethreattalk.com. For Triple Threat Talk, this is Big B.
Check out OVWWrestling.com for this week's installment of Ohio Valley Wrestling. And thank you once again to OVW, everything they do, Frank Miller, and especially we want to thank our sponsors with Cheryl Connolly and Terry Bodie and for everything they've done for us and continue to do. This is Gary the Dr. Lockhart.
I want to spend a special shout out to Mr. Dustin Long for that interview. That was absolutely amazing. Follow his stuff on SI.com and on Twitter at Dustin Long. This is Postmaster Jones.
This is Big B signing off, and for the second straight week, I have nothing more to say this week. See you, everybody.